These are the new Sharpie Creative Markers in the brush tip. I originally bought these because somebody said that they were like the Sharpie Stained, and my pen cracked. See the lid right there where it cracked? And so it does not clip anymore. It doesn't click tight. I've been frantically trying to use this pen before it dries up, but that's not the point. The point is I love these pens so much, so of course I'm going to try anything that sounds similar at all. So let's check it out. Do they look similar? They both have that clear body where you can see the ink, but the Sharpie Stained is a lot smaller of a brush tip. And in using them, no, they're not alike at all. This is my opinion, so maybe somebody else has a different opinion, but the brush is very, very different. The Sharpie Stained is firm and bounces back. It is that perfect brush tip that I want in every single brush pen. The Karin Brush Marker Pro is the same as well. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Sharpie Creative Markers are not that brush tip. The brush tip of these Sharpie Creative Markers are actually a lot like the Karin Decobrush markers. And so I am going to show you that as well. These Sharpie Creative Markers say that you can use them on paper, metal, wood, ceramic, glass, rock, and canvas. So they're basically like paint pens, but they're also water resistant and fade resistant. They also have a bullet tip. So let me know if you want to see me review the bullet tip pens as well. They are more opaque, so I am going to be trying them on my black paper and white paper. These are my Art and Olive journals. Before I get into swatching each color, let me show you what I mean. So these are the Karin Pigment Decobrush pens, and these ones are fade resistant, waterproof, but the brush tip itself is really soft. I have a video about those if you want to watch a full thing once you're done with this one, where the brush itself is not my favorite for hand lettering. You can do it and it works, but it's not that bounce back that the Karin Brush Marker Pro has, and that's exactly how the Sharpie Creative Marker feels. However, I said this in that video and I will say it again, there is a different purpose for these brush markers. So if you want to use them on rocks and somewhere that it needs to be opaque, you're not going to use the Karin brush markers because those are more like using watercolor. So if you want an opaque paint, you're going to have to use this kind of brush tip. And unfortunately, I just have not found that same type of bounce back and flexibility and firmness that the Karin brush markers have in a paint marker. These markers that I'm using, it feels like this acrylic paint and it can go over the black paper. So really, there are different uses. So you just have to think about, what are you doing the most? What does your pen need to do for you? If you want to use this opaque paint, they're not bad. It's a soft brush tip. You have to use a little more control. So maybe it's not the first thing I would suggest when you're learning, but for the purpose, they are really great markers. And especially now that there's the Sharpie Creative Markers, I bought these online on Amazon. They were a pretty good price. I'm assuming they will probably make it in stores like Walmart and Target. I don't know, but a lot of Sharpie markers are there, so they might be a little bit more accessible. And actually, I am very curious about the bullet tip as well, the Sharpie bullet tip markers. So if you have tried those, let me know. Or if you want to see me try them, let me know and I'll see what I can do. Okay, I feel like I just went on that really long rant about how these are not as good of brush pens as the Karin Brush Marker Pro. But these, compared to other paint pens, they're great. This and the Karin Pigment Decobrush. I think these two are the best paint brush pens that I've tried. Like I said, it is a little bit of a softer tip, but as you can see here, I am getting a really great thick and thin stroke, that thick downstroke and that thin upstroke, and so you can do it. I would say for a beginner to start with these, it's really soft. It's going to take a little more control, but if you know what you're doing, it's great. It's soft and you just have to work with that. But for brush pens that are opaque, this opens up so much. And I am really excited to use these in my black journal, especially even the white looks really great. And you know, it's not a common thing to have a white brush pen that you can use in the black journal. So these are great markers if you are looking for a paint pen marker. So then up here, to fill in more space on this page in my journal, I decided to do the thick downstroke, thin upstroke, and I think this stripes looked really cool. So see, you can get that thin upstroke, take some control, but these are great. Then I also wanted to see how would I make some pieces in my journal. And this first one, I wanted to see if I could go over it. So they are opaque. Can the markers go on top of each other? And I did the white on top of the rainbow, and I did a 9-letter word, which happens to be beautiful because those were the colors that I used. And I think it looks great. So there are lots of ideas I have now of things that I can do using the marker on top of the markers. I mean, it's like using gel pens, but they're brush pens. So yeah, these are a lot of fun. And you can see they do not bleed through. This is my Archer and Olive journal, which it is rare to have pens that actually bleed through these pages because they're so thick. Usually only oil-based pens will bleed through. So these ones are not oil-based, but they are really great. They work really well. And for this piece, I wanted to do the flowers on top of the black in different colors. And I think it turned out really cool. Like I said, I have lots of ideas now of how I can layer on top. But let me know what you think. Do you want to try these? Have you tried them? Do you think these are a pen that you would use? I have seen a lot of people talking about these. Do you think it's over talked about, or do you think these are really exciting? I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. I do think it's very exciting for Sharpie to have this. This is new for them. They have a lot of the oil-based pens that do bleed through Archer and Olive paper. It is really fun to see good brands making new types of pens because that just means there's new good pens out there. Do you need these Sharpie Creative Markers as well as the Karin Pigment Decobrush markers? I would say no, they are the same. The Karin comes in way more options of colors, but if you just want to try it out, this is a great way to go. I hope this helped you decide if you need to get these for yourself. If you want to see more details about the Karin Pigment Decobrush markers, I will leave that video right here. I'll see you there.